The following podcast contains opinions that all three grandmasters wish to distance themselves from.
Well, I felt I got cut out from criticizing Giri, so I would like to weigh in.
I think you are trying to find a point when there is no point. I mean, the only point is that he's chickening out, as usual.
I got to the last 16 in the World Cup, for instance.
Oh boy.
Won classical tournaments like Hastings and Hastings, I don't know.
Hey, dusting.
Yeah, but in general I was quite optimistic. But I don't know, probably I was not fully objective because, of course, above all we are chess fans and we want Magnus to play. And
above all, we're chess fans.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, no? If I would have to decide for tomorrow, I would say, okay, I want to see a match between Magnus and Alireza. Sure. That would be clearly the most exciting. So, I don't know, it's very, very difficult.
Which side would you work for, or
Magnus.
just both?
Sorry?
Which side would you work for, just both, or?
Of course, both.
Hello everybody, I'm Grandmaster Jan Gustafsson. Welcome to the second episode of the Chicken Chess Club podcast, where I'm once again joined by my dear friends, Grandmasters Peter Heine Nielsen and Laurent Fressinet, to talk about the very, very exciting world of chess. Laurent, how are you today?
I'm good as usual, just to annoy you. I know that you don't like my optimism and my way of living my life. Yeah, I'm good. I was mocked this week for my French accent for the last episode, but I'm used to it, so I'm very much fine.
I'm very sorry to hear that. Peter, how are things on your end? Where are you?
A bit up and down. Generally, it's been a great week. I was with my oldest son at 7 in a trip to Denmark to visit his grandmother. We went to the zoo, and especially Legoland was a big hit and such. But and now we've all fallen ill, so that's a bit tough in that sense and such. So, well, that's the private front, and of course Magnus is playing a tournament. But so there's a bit of work too. But we will get back to that later. So, but ups and downs, I would say.
And you too, Jan, yeah? You're a bit sick, right?
I'm quite sick, yeah. I'm not sure what's called, gastrointestinal, which is something my kids brought back from kindergarten. So the whole family, we haven't eaten solid food for like a week. I'm just drinking water, now I start coffee, and white bread, or as I like to call it, the regular Laurent diet.
Yeah, of course. So you are enjoying your white bread, huh?
I'm enjoying it greatly. All right, what's happening in the chess world? I've been doing German commentary on the Champions Chess Tour, this event they're having in Oslo, where 8 players are in the studio in Oslo. They're all in the same place, but they're playing on electronic boards on the internet against each other. Magnus is there, Anish is there, Praggnanandhaa is so far crushing the tournament. What are your first impressions?
Yeah. First of all, I like the format of the tournament. I mean, like, people are playing at the same place. I think it feels just much better than in this. This is a major tournament, and in this regular tournament, it feels a bit weird because people are at home and there are many of them. But of course, it's very interesting. Of course, some people, some top players are missing. But yeah, the biggest surprise is of course the great start of Praggnanandhaa, which I don't know so much. I don't know if Peter knows him better or studied his games, but yeah, I'm very surprised that he's starting so well.
How do you feel about the players being in the same room but not playing on real boards but online? Does it make a difference for you? I've seen some complaints. I kind of like the aesthetics and this e-sporty vibe they're trying to set up, but I hear a lot of purists saying, they're there, why don't they play on a real board? Peter?
Well, they're trying to make it esports-like, which I like for the visuals, but also I like it because when you play Rapid and Blitz in real life, there is always debates about sportsmanship and sort of did you put the pieces right, did you push the clock correctly and such. All this is taken completely care of in this kind of computerized version and such. And this always ends up in debates. And unfortunately, I think the correct strategy is to, when you play over the board, is to play almost a bit dirty because it doesn't really get punished. While when you do it online on the computer, there's simply no problems like that. So I think there is some advantage with that. But also, I think it's a cool look. I think it's fair enough to try it and such. I don't think it'll replace over the board chess, but no, I like it, I have to say.
Well, isn't there some fair play debate about, jumping ahead a bit here, Magnus, I assume, probably you know better, had a mouse slip in one of his games against Le Quang. That just comes with the territory, right? There's nothing strange about it. You just move on.
I'm embarrassed to say I have not heard about that incident.
Okay,
I'm coaching for this tournament, but we haven't.
Yeah, it was a draw. I mean, like he should play queen d4. He wanted to play queen d4, and then there is a perpetual. In a few moves, I mean, it's like it's draw immediately. It's perpetual in.
Yeah, that I understood. I assumed he just had a mouse slip and lost.
Yeah, he just played queen for check and queen takes queen. So he didn't. He probably didn't want that immediately. So it was a clear mouse slip because queen d4 was the right move and the only move to make a draw, which was very simple. And he just played queen for check, which loses the queen on the pot. So that's the point. But I agree with you, Peter, on. From aesthetic point of view, I think it's great. I mean, it looks really cool. I mean, like it looks like a great event and e-sport, and well, it's a nice thing to try. Of course, there is not the dirty part of it when you are playing over the board, but yeah, there is a problem of this mouse slip. But overall, I think it's a good try. Let's say.
All right, let's go through the action a bit. At the time of recording, 3 rounds have been played and we're waiting the big match between Praggnanandhaa and Magnus. So Magnus won a match against Duda, and there, Peter, my first question. He started one game with the move 1f3. Was this your idea? Were you forced to prepare the move 1f3? Or do you have the right to say, okay, if you want to do this, I'm out. Just knock yourself out.
I'm probably not at liberty to tell you, but well, I can say that recently I have been looking at f3, and well, for instance, the computer doesn't say it's the worst move in the starting position. There's actually
second
one that's
worst, right? G4 is worse, f3 is second worst. I also checked. H4 is third.
The problem with f3 is that, well, g4 at least it has a plan, right? Well, you know where you put the pieces. It's the group. It's crap, but there is some setup. While with f3, it's a bad move, and I'm sure it makes white's positions worse, right? But also there's absolutely no reasonable setup afterwards, as far as I understand, right? I mean, you saw that after e5, well, you have to play a move like knight c3 or something like that, right? That's what he did. It's, I mean, no, it's pretty terrible, but having said that, I don't think the position is lost. It's probably still a draw, right? So if you look at it from a logical point of view, all white moves are equal because they all lead to a draw unless e4 wins. But
why? What's the point of starting with f3?
Okay, now you're asking difficult questions. I mean, well, I think, you know, as he said, he's never played it before in a serious game.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was your idea. Yeah?
Well, I cannot tell you such.
We all know it wasn't your idea.
No, but
we would like to pretend it was your idea.
But it's interesting to have well, now we have a conversation, but also, I mean, you can just play chess for a completely practical point of view and just try to win games. But sometimes it also makes sense to sort of care a bit about unusual chess problems. You see, for instance, this computer tournaments, they all start in some weird positions in order to get an interesting game. And, well, as you saw, it actually became a very interesting game very quickly and such. But, of course, well, f3 is pushing it a bit far.
So do you think for Magnus' overall chess development it's better to play 1f3 or to play poker tournaments?
I think both are excellent, but I mean, if you only give me one choice, it would probably be F3. But it's training different things. I think poker tournaments threaten sort of nerves, while the other one is you're forcing yourself to look at chess in a bit of a different perspective.
No, but I really, when preparing for the show, I didn't realize that it was such a great topic, because we can just pretend it was Peter's idea. And actually, you cannot deny. I mean, like, we are just sitting there.
You also can't say a bad thing about F3. I mean, this is very...
Well, also, I'm puzzled no one has suggested it was a mouse slip, that they seem to be on purpose. But
Okay, so Magnus won against Duda. Then he lost to Liam there. We also need the inside track. He seems sick. He looks very, very tired on camera. I think he's coughing in interviews. Peter, what's going on?
I mean, well, with Magnus, I talk chess. I mean, with you guys, we talk about how we feel and illnesses and such to fill time. I didn't know he mouse slipped. I had no clue he was ill. So apparently, it's a very business-like relationship we seem to have. But I had no clue.
No, but also he played this on the day he lost to Liam. He played a charity match. Norway played a charity match against Ukraine. So he played 4 rapid games to start. So if he looked quite ill. So if he was ill, I mean, like, he played 8 games the same day. So this is tough schedule. So that explains.
He likes playing chess.
He also played the Benoni, I believe, twice now. Once when the match was tied 1.5 against Liam. He played d4, e6, c4, c5, d5, pawn takes, g6. And then he did it against Anish when he was leading as well. Is this... To me, it looked a bit like he was tired and trying to keep the matches short by ideally winning without a tiebreak. Is this a strategy connected to that, or is it just expanding his horizons, trying to play sharp chess, putting pressure?
I think I remember once that I was standing with Vichy and Magnus, and Vichy was asking me something, and Magnus looked at him and said, "Vichy, you are trying to find sense where there is none." It's a bit of the same here, I think. I mean, well, why not? I mean, you're debating if it's a good strategy or not, but I think, okay. Well, he thought, why not play the Benoni or something like that? I mean, it's, well, he's experimenting these days, and quite successfully, I would say, and such. But I wouldn't think that there is some kind of deep thought behind it, to be honest. But again, maybe I wasn't told. It could be.
Fair enough. I guess we'll let you off the hook on Magnus' inside information. So he lost that match to Liam, then he won the match against Giri. Laurent, this is your area of expertise, the first game against Giri. It ended in a quick draw. What are your feelings about it?
Yeah, no, Peter mentioned that Anish could go for a sharp, interesting position and probably getting a better position, but at least just very, very interesting. But instead, it was always my point that Anish is a very interesting player to watch in the opening phase. But then, when he's playing the tough guys, I mean, when there is a safe option and a complicated one, he always chose the safest. So he just repeated the moves, and then he was punished in some English. It didn't look like much for White. But Magnus, typical Magnus, he just outplayed him, and this Benoni you mentioned. So it was basically this match was one-way traffic. I think no 2.5 is just. It was an easy match for Magnus.
Yeah, we thought about calling this podcast 2.5 Grandmasters. In the end, we decided against it. But speaking of 2.5 Grandmasters, the real 2.5 Grandmaster has been Praggnanandhaa, who... I'm not calling him half a Grandmaster. I'm saying this because he's won all his matches so far. 2.5 half. Has he reached a new stage and is now just crushing everybody? What's going on there?
Well, I felt I got cut out from criticizing Giri, so I would like to weigh in.
Apologies.
Yeah, I mean, no. I agree with what Laurent said, also because basically he copied what I said in the chat. But I mean,
I did quote you. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. But, well, my point is that Giri is better, but he has to choose between a symmetrical position or an unbalanced one. And then in terms of winning chances, I think the unbalanced one is just better. I can get his point, maybe, that if he thinks he's the clearly worse player, then trying to make the match much shorter in terms of drawing as much as possible has some sense. I mean, you have seen it in knockouts. If you're white against a stronger opponent, maybe you force a quick draw and you gamble everything on one game. But that puzzled me a bit.
Yeah, but I think you are trying to find a point when there is no point. I mean, the only point is that he's chickening out, as usual. And against Magnus, I mean, it's very, very... I mean, like, he doesn't want to play chess against Magnus, yeah? Just trying to catch him in the opening.
No, there is not much positive. You are right, sort of in that sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, no, this was one-way traffic. Also, you saw the last Benoni. Of course, computer says White is quite better, as he is objectively in the beginning, but it became pretty horrific at some point. About Praggnanandhaa, I mean, I don't have much opinion either. I mean, my job is to follow Magnus' opponents, and generally, well, it's only why I can say that it became relevant in that sense. I think he's a bit of an unknown to all of us. In Wijk, he did quite okay, but nothing spectacular. While here, it's a different story. And,
yeah, it's rapid, so
well, I guess
he's young. But how old is he, by the way? I mean, I'm always get
16.
confused. 16 only, wow. Okay, that's very impressive. Yeah.
Well, so Jan is sitting modestly there. You coached him at some point, right?
No.
No. Oh, sorry.
Nihal is my boy.
Okay. My apologies then.
Where Nihal at?
Yeah. So no, it's surprising. Also, well, things hasn't exactly finished yet and such. But in at least in Wijk, you didn't get the impression that Praggnanandhaa was, let's say, better than the other elite players. Well, this you might get here, but I still think it's early to say, and it's rapid and such. But of course, at the age of 16, it's a ridiculous result. So
yeah, he's been very impressive. This game he won with White against Mamedyarov. Okay, it was messy. He was even worse at some point. But the tactics, the instincts, I was very, very impressed, and it really looks like he's reached a new stage. When he beat Jordan 2.5 half in the first round, I thought, okay, maybe Jordan is settling in, but then he showed that he can just do this to others as well. And Le Quang had just beaten Magnus and then loses 2.5 to Praggnanandhaa.
Yeah,
I was stumped.
Actually, Prag had two lousy positions as black against Jordan. But he's taking his chances. I mean, like, well, he's definitely taking his chances. Jordan did something wrong, and well, immediately he was punished. So that's what you have to do in rapid.
But that's also what we basically debated in the last podcast. That, I mean, well, having bad positions but being able to making a lot of points. I mean, that's true talent and grit. I mean, well, openings and such he can learn later, but that he actually can manage to fight back very successfully is something that's very noteworthy, I would say.
Yeah, I would argue that he is already pretty good in openings as well. But yeah, point very much taken. I'm not sure what the power rankings are now. Gukesh entered the top 100. Erigaisi seems to be... Erigaisi, I think it's pronounced. Seems to be crushing whenever he plays. Now Praggnanandhaa looks very, very strong as well. Nihal, I'm still a huge fan. There's a lot of potential there. It's looking very, very promising for the Indian youngsters.
But it looks incredibly promising, but let's say just the next Olympiad, they play at home ground. Do we actually think they have a shot of winning it?
Why not?
Oh, it's a bit early.
I would guess it's a little early, but who knows? Is Vichy playing?
Vichy coaching, maybe. I saw some pictures that Vichy was coaching the youngster. I don't know to which extent, but that could, of course, help a lot.
It will be normal he plays, but maybe it's not decided yet, something like that. But
No clue. I don't think they're on a favorites level like the US, that of course have an incredible team, but they're certainly
US are
capable to
France.
beat everybody. France, of course, yeah.
France, of course. So, come on.
yeah.
All right, at the time of recording, the match between Magnus and Praggnanandhaa has not finished yet, but I'll certainly be watching it. Which brings us back to Magnus Peter, what's happening? What's the latest in? Will he play the next World Championship match? Will he not play? Does it depend on opponent? Any news there?
Yeah, he gave an interview to the Norwegian newspaper Aftenposten quite recently, and he made a lot of headlines, despite for the fact that there was basically no news in it. I mean, he's quite much repeating his position that he's saying, if I had to make up my mind tomorrow, then there would be a clear answer. I wouldn't be playing the World Championship, but then, the usual that could change and something like that and stuff like this, and he would make up his mind after the candidates and such. But no, I would say, if anything, a sort of non-news story by Magnus still makes a lot of attention because it's an interesting or important topic, and you also see a lot of people being very critical. I mean, there's many who doesn't believe him. There is, for instance, I think Ogor thinks that FIDE should force him to make up his mind before the candidates because players will be on uncertain and unequal conditions and such. So it very much stirs up a lot of emotion. But
what is your reaction on that? You think it's fair?
What?
I mean, it's clear that Magnus is following the rules, and you have to sign the contract when it's there, when the opponent is known. But makes some sense what Ogard said.
Normally, the part where I get to criticize FIDE comes later, so we can all talk about.
Yeah, but you can do that. You are doing
rules.
That all week on Twitter, so you can do it.
To be fair to FIDE, it's difficult to make rules that forces someone to play if he doesn't want to. I don't think they can do that, right? So it's basically a unique situation. It happened very rarely in the history of chess that a world champion doesn't seem to want to defend his title.
What was it? It was Fischer, basically. That's it, yeah?
Well, Fischer left, and maybe Lasker just sat on it and such. There have been situations. But also, I think normally there was a very strong financial incentive for the world champions to play, as far as I understand.
Also, in the old days, it was different because the world champion had to find his challenger and the funding, so they could choose more or less whom to play, and it wasn't like there was a governing body. But
no.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, this is very, very unusual and such. So I think to blame FIDE on that one is a bit too much. You can say that they should react now, but as you say, Magnus is following the rules, and he has to. Well, of course, you have the right to resign your title whenever you feel like it, and it's not like you have to do it on Mondays or whatever. I mean, you can't. Of course, people should have that right to do it for numerous reasons.
But
it's a strange situation.
Today you don't want to answer the questions, actually.
Oh, sorry. What is your question?
My question is that does FIDE should FIDE change the regulations and make the world champion sign before the candidates happens or not?
I don't think so. I think the situation is so unique that that's just life, and Magnus has the right to defend his title, and that normally you have to decide on after the candidates. And just because it seems like he's not going to do it, I don't think you should change rules and traditions. I agree with Ogor that it's not ideal, and but that's how it is, and I don't think that it's a bigger problem that chess will survive. So will the title, and it's not like no candidate is losing anything, in the sense that if they win, they will still qualify. They might not get this extra bonus in case Magnus chooses not to play. But I think everybody get what they are entitled to, and some might get more should Magnus not choose to play. So I think for the players and the candidates, it's a positive problem.
Well, I don't know, for Alireza, for instance. I mean, it's clear that Magnus pointed out Alireza, so you may claim that Alireza has much less chances than the others to become world champion.
He could finish second, no? Then if, let's say, Duda finishes first and he has a choice, if he wins, he plays Magnus, or if he loses the last round, he plays Duda. Okay, it's an unlikely scenario. On a serious note, I'm not sure how you guys felt about it. To me, this recent Magnus interview, it looked like he left the door a little more open, saying that, it wasn't decided yet. It sounded a little less firm that he's not intending to play than previous stands, but maybe I'm just reading too much into it. Laurent, did you also think so?
Yeah, but in general, I was quite optimistic. But I don't know, probably I was not fully objective because, of course, above all, we are chess fans, and we want Magnus to play. And
above all, we're chess fans.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, no? No, I mean,
no self-interest in Magnus
like
playing.
these World
We just
Championship
wanna enjoy
matches.
the
Let's say, if I would have to decide for tomorrow, I would say, okay, I want to see a match between Magnus and Alireza.
Sure.
That would be clearly the most exciting. So I don't know. It's very, very difficult.
Which side would you work for, or just both?
Sorry.
Which side would you work for? Just both, or?
Of course, both. I mean, and I would tell the other. I mean, like, of course, finally, my dream will come true. So yeah, and we are so close to Magnus that it's very difficult to be objective. But I really wish he's going to play, and of course, there is no guarantee. I don't know what he will. Let's say if it's Caruana or Ding, I think it's still a very interesting match. Will he get some motivation? I have no clue. I mean, like, it's very, very difficult to say. But yeah, I wish he will play. That's it.
But fair enough. So we'll keep you posted once Peter shares with us the details of all his intimate conversations with Magnus about
that.
the topic.
Peter gave some percentage in our video series we did in Paris, actually. So which percentage did you give? It was very low, I think, like 20%.
I think went up since then, no?
No, I still think it's quite low. It might be double digits, but it's not 50%. I mean, it's 20 or 30 or something like this. But it's hard to judge. And well, I understand as a chess fan you would like it, but also, well, we also want Magnus to stay in the chess world, and he's doing that with tournaments and such. For me, I'm actually not that emotionally attached to it. Well, I have to answer a lot of questions because people don't seem to, well, believe him or something like that. But I mean, yeah, I think that's should really completely be up to him how he will do that. And well, for me, I'm just going to help him with whatever tournaments he asks me to. If it's going to be, you know, F3 for online or a World Championship match, it doesn't make much difference.
So he asked for help with F3.
No, I didn't say that. I was just
you
bait you.
All right.
And you also said, Peter, that it was your idea. But okay, that's fine.
Let's move on to a topic that I'm not very emotionally attached to. The American Cup is running. Who's the expert on that tournament? Laurent, are you following that one closely?
No, but I'm checking the games and I'm checking carefully what Caruana is up to.
What tournament is this? I literally don't know much about it.
It's they're playing classical. You have to lose. It's double elimination, so you have to lose twice to be out. Of course, yeah. Then some people I saw they were not playing at the same time, so it's a bit confusing. I just saw that yesterday Caruana won a very nice game against Dominguez, and well, I'm very interested about Caruana because he will be one of the favorites in the tournament of the year. At least for me, in these candidates, I'm very excited about candidates. So I'm just checking the players there and see in which shape they are. And Caruana showed some ideas. I mean, he's playing quite good chess as usual with many new ideas. So it's interesting to follow.
Wasn't he very close to being knocked out in one?
Yeah, he played some very close tiebreaks.
I thought he was completely lost in one game that he won in the end, as far as I remember. I don't know if it would have. Well, also it wouldn't lead to elimination, but because of this double elimination system.
But probably it was some blitz.
I think
or
the
some
system
rapid.
has been used quite often in backgammon because, well, they like to have knockouts, but also they understand there is some random element or more risk, so they want to make it double. So, well, I think, well, this is St. Louis, sponsored by Rex Sinkerfield, and I mean, he likes to have this new format. Remember that he had this clutch chess with Caruana against Magnus, where they played a match, but some games were suddenly for more points than others and such. So, I mean, that's probably the nice thing with being a billionaire. If you have some ideas, you wonder how they work out, you just do it because you can do it like that. So, it's a bit of a strange system, this double knockout, but no, I have some sympathy for it in many ways.
Any other players you've been following in the tournament, Laurent?
No, I saw some. No, I mean, I was looking at the games just simply. I saw. What do you mean? Like,
No, just
I think he's referring
to whom?
Okay. No.
Please.
Well, also Sam Shankland, quite surprisingly, went out quickly, and he made some tweets that was a bit interesting. Maybe we can debate that. That he said that, well, he's been working incredibly hard on his rapid skills, but it seems like hard work more pays off in classical, while it's more difficult to improve your rapid skills.
And it was
I don't know
about
what
talent,
you
maybe.
get.
It's what he said. It's what he wrote, actually. That, maybe it's a lack of talent. He wrote something like that. I'm not sure I'm quoting him exactly right, but yeah. Maybe he's right, I think. I think blitz skills, it's a lot about natural talent.
I don't know. This talent debate is always a very, very weird one. I think Kasparov, for example, talent is the capacity to work hard. And for Sam, I think he started quite late with serious chess, at least, or improving. And maybe that plays into it, that if you play a lot of blitz or rapid as a kid, these reflexes get developed in a more more natural way, and working on openings and your tactics and so on translates more to classical. I can't really judge, but I wouldn't make it about this talent versus hard worker debate in chess. I find very strange usually, because everyone puts in the hours and then the brain puts in stuff differently. But someone who played 10 hours of blitz as a kid, is he more talented because he put in all these hours as a kid than someone who starts working a lot later in life? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Well, actually, you disagree. I mean, we have the tweet of Sam. Guess some talents are just
I haven't seen the
innate.
tweet. I'm just making random talent statements.
Yeah, and yeah, okay. I don't have strong opinion on that.
No, I get the point of Sam that, I mean, I think you can train yourself to certain things as being a disciplined calculator and learn some techniques and such. Learning how to play blitz and rapid is different. I don't know if you can train it in a particular way. Maybe just by doing it a lot. And well, there's also this school of thought that it's not very good to play blitz and rapid for your development and such. And I think it comes for those who focus on classical. I used to think so. I've basically changed my mind based on sort of, let's call it, empirical evidence that well, Magnus Hikaru, but also a lot of other strong players, has been playing a bunch of blitz games when they were younger, and it seems to work, at least for
Also,
them.
this new generation, I'm sure every case is different, but coming up, I do think a lot of the guys just got very, very strong by playing lots of online blitz, and they also became incredibly strong classical players. I don't know. I do think that every case is very, very unique.
But
though.
we all played a lot of blitz games when we were young. I mean, like you forgot about those days on ICC, Jan.
No, I didn't forget. But I'm not a world-class player. But it's time we spent putting in on chess, becoming decent grandmasters. No, I was a great blitz player in the late 1970s. Right?
Yeah, me too. I mean, like I spent a lot of time on ICC playing with you, probably.
Yeah, those were the days. Sitting in some
European
internet cafe.
online champion. So.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, beating Gelfand Adams in matches, not too bad. Yeah, I'm a bit too old for having played blitz when I was online when I was very young, unfortunately, and I think that that hampers your development in a bit. It's a bit like AlphaZero. You have to see a lot of chess positions and you have to learn from them, and then you get better intuition. And I think having a bunch of games simply helps in that way.
But it helped your social skills. While Laurent and I were sitting there in our internet cafes, you were out partying with your Danish student buddies. So it's not all black and white.
No, but Peter has a great online record. He also qualified for the World Cup in the good old days when FIDE made this.
It's actually the World Championships back then.
Sorry. So you played
qualified
against
online
Vichy and you started working with him, no?
I was very lucky to lose against Vichy, so that I played a strong novelty, and then I had to think on my own and lost immediately. And he thought, well, that sounds like good skills for a second. So that's when that career started. Yeah.
We should maybe mention, just for listeners that aren't as familiar with your careers as we are, that Peter used to be by far the best Scandinavian player, was very, very active, very, very strong player, reached 2,700, but stood out as an opening theoretician already then, and then he got swept away from the market by Vichy Anand. Peter, what year was that, in the early 2000s?
Well, we started working together in 2001, but in 2005 he asked me a couple of weeks before the World Championship in Mexico if I wanted to join him as a coach there. He asked me pretty late because I think he had probably some trouble with his former coach. I don't know if it was logistics or principal and such, and I had to jump in at the last moment, and I did that. Well, he was second, so it wasn't that great, and I thought maybe that was the shot I had. But he asked me back in 2007, and basically he won, and then it was steady work with all his matches, and that for quite some years.
So you worked on the Vichy matches, and then at some point you started working for Magnus, and you're in. I'm doing all your bragging here for you. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
In World Championship matches, you have a 7-0 record as a coach now.
Yes, correct.
That's not bad, but.
No, that's okay.
It could be better. All right. There is an ongoing debate, we'll have that one another day, between Laurent and Peter, who had the better active player career.
I mean, it's clear that in terms of rating, I was 5 years a 2700 player. I'm bragging for myself. While Peter broke the barrier. I mean, like, he had 2700 once. So, okay, in terms of rating, the competition is quite clear.
Also, Peter never won mind games, as far as I know.
That's for sure. He has, his main achievements are probably online.
I got to the last 16 in the World Cup, for instance.
Oh, boy.
Won classical tournaments like Hastings and Hastings. I don't know.
Hey, dusting.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to, I don't know, where do we go, Peter? Do you want to talk about chess politics, everything that's happening in your world of World Championship matches, new World Championship titles, FIDE? Give us the overview.
I mean, chess politics, we can go in two directions. Maybe let's keep the real politics for a bit later, but let's start with the World Championship. I mean, last week there was a statement from chess.com that they're going to have the chess.com World Championship. And it seems to be an online tournament with $1 million prize fund. But the last four, so the semi-final and final, will be played in Canada. And, well, I think what made it a controversy was that they're actually calling it a World Championship. And, well, they are FIDE sponsor, but even it seems that it's been approved by FIDE. Nigel Short said so on Twitter, that the FIDE Council has approved of them calling it the chess.com World Championship. And, well, maybe it doesn't sound so controversial, but I think it kind of is, because World Championship is something that we have kept as a, well, sacred thing that we cannot have a... Well, we had a split in the chess world, but actually also initiated by Nigel Short when he played the Kasparov. But, well, to suddenly give away the World Championship title to someone else is strange. Well, we're going to keep it in FIDE, but there's going to be quite some debate about it. And, well, that actually created quite some debate online. And, well, I'll be curious to what you guys think. So, I mean, my opinions, of course, is online. But, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't followed it very closely. To me, it doesn't seem like that big a deal. I think the legacy of the classical chess world champion is not touched by it. We will also have the rapid world champion and the blitz world champion. Then, yeah, if you name something, chess.com world championship, and have your own world champion, I don't think it changes things very much, and I don't think the chess world will see it as an alternate cycle, but just as a different event. I might be wrong about it. I'm already thinking about the Chicken Chess Club World Championship.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody, Chess 24 World Champion, Lead Chess World Champion. What's next? I mean, okay, well, I don't like it. I mean, I'm not a big fan, to say the least, of this.
There is also juridical problems. Everybody who's competed in the World Championship cycle, and I think that includes the World Cup, has signed contracts that for the next 4 years you cannot compete in anything called the World Championship except for FIDE in that sense.
But if it's approved by FIDE, there won't be juridical problems, no?
No, probably not. But, well, then again, I would say, well, with any kind of world championship, there should normally be a process where people can bid to be the host or something like this. Now it just comes out of nowhere, and selling the right. We used to be very critical, for instance, that FIDE made a deal with Argon that they could do the World Championship. It was actually quite a point of the election that FIDE has to take control over the World Championship. Giving some rights to chess.com, well, it could be okay, but we would like to know about it.
But FIDE was very transparent, on the deal.
Sorry?
FIDE was very transparent on the deal with chess.com, no?
You're mocking me
Yeah.
now, right? Yeah. No, I think, basically we know nothing about the deal. It could be okay, but we basically just don't have a clue, is my point.
Yeah.
That's your usual FIDE take, no? Tell us. Tell us the details of every deal.
Isn't it? That's how it should be, right? They could have good intentions. It could be a good deal, but it would be nice to know. And also, FIDE election is coming up very shortly. Generally, I think it's bad style to make irreversible long-term deals just before your mandate runs out, right? It creates all kind of bad incentives and such. So, no, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm working for a guy who's saying that he doesn't want to be the world champion anymore, so maybe I just should shut
it's
up
not
and
what
not care.
exactly he's saying. It's not what any match, but I don't think he would mind to
No,
be
maybe it's also a bit strange. I
champion.
defend this fiercely then. But it's a good point. Can we have the Chicken Chess Club World Championship? I don't think we can legally. We should be afraid of FIDE, or maybe we will be kicked out of.
But you're in close touch with
we're
many
not-
FIDE official. You can put in a good word for us, no?
Yeah, I don't know. But remember, Short and more notably, Kasparov was stripped of their ratings for playing in a separate World Championship. It had
Were
consequences.
they? I don't even remember
Yeah,
that they
yeah,
weren't in
that's
the
what-
rating list.
It was a regular joke that there was this unrated but pretty talented player called Garry Kasparov. No, he was stripped for his rating for a couple of lists and
okay.
such because it's breach of contract. When you played the World Cup, you have signed this same. You don't normally just don't care, but no, this they have been pretty strict of since there was this split in the 90s. People used to play different cycles and such. So, are you okay, Laurent?
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Good. If we have to return to real FIDE politics, I will say the by far biggest story was Kosteniuk the last week. She came out with a very strong statement. She came up with a post on Instagram where she was very critical about the Russian government, talking about while there is this kind of special operation that, she doesn't see that she has any kind of moral right to speak out because the government is taking away all kind of constitutional rights from its citizens and such. And while we have seen statements before in the chess world by numerous players, it's the first time I see someone speaking that directly and that critically of their government. There might be exceptions, but we're talking Kosteniuk, who is a Russian chess icon and has even appeared in numerous propaganda things with government officials, even with Putin himself earlier and such. That she comes out that strongly with a statement was quite surprising. And it's almost to the extent where one would wonder, would it have consequences for her short term? I have a Danish/Russian friend who lives in Denmark who said that, he was afraid of being a journalist in Denmark talking about the war because it could have consequences for his family in Russia and such. So, no, what she did is something that was very brave and, quite surprising to me. Yeah, I don't know if you saw it or you've had any thoughts on it, but this was a very strong statement.
Yeah, I read it. Kudos to Kosteniuk. I could very much, it's impossible to relate, obviously, to the situation, but see where she was coming from, saying that she didn't agree with the banning of Russian flags, but this was really not the time for her to make any demands or claim any moral high ground. And yeah, I thought it was a strong statement. Everything else, I don't know much about her situation and her connections. I can't speak on But yeah, it was an impressive statement to my mind.
And of course, also, this was the week when we saw another grandmaster being sanctioned. We have seen Karpov being sanctioned because he was a member of the Russian Duma. That was expected. But a French grandmaster popped up on the US sanction list. Joel Lautier, if I pronounce it correctly.
No, you don't.
Perfect. No.
Joel Lautier.
Joel Lautier, thank you. He is a member of the board of Softcom in Russia, and due to that, he was sanctioned.
He resigned actually in February. So when he saw it coming, so I was reading about that. So first of all, let's mention that it's for sure Joel is he's a peaceful guy. So I mean it's a bit weird. It's this U.S. sanctions. Okay, sometimes they are a bit overdoing it in my opinion. It's just weird. It's not even in Russia these days. We remember another grandmaster who got sanctioned by US long time ago, and he was handcuffed. This is a time for the complicated word. Luc Van Velde, I remember from the airport because he was just giving a lecture. He wanted to give a lecture in US, and then he was handcuffed. I think Luc, even if he's our friend, but I mean, it's not a dangerous guy. So they're always doing some.
He wasn't sanctioned. No, he just said when he was at immigrations that he was there to give chess coaching, and he didn't have a permit or a green card or something.
And you need to handcuff him.
He was. I'm not sure if he was handcuffed. That might.
He was.
Okay.
I think it's quite different.
I'm not sure those are the same thing. Like not letting a guy in who says I'm here to work.
Yeah, but it means. I mean, it shows that they are overdoing it. No, I think that's
no.
Okay.
Well, I disagree with you on that.
Okay, I think U.S. sanctions are just. It's just too much. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I was reading about it. I mean, for me, it just especially he resigned on February. Another member was not sanctioned. I mean, like it's all very, very weird to me. But okay, I don't know.
It's a very complicated topic because, of course, it's not really that chess related. I've been reading and listening so much about sanctions and their chances to end war and long-term effects. I don't know, morally, or it still feels to me that everything should be done to show where one stands about the individual cases and effects. It's too complex for me, frankly. But to me, it always feels like gut feeling without any smart analysis. Sanctions against,
Well, for instance, we saw in the tennis world recently that they have actually banned Russian and Belarusian players for the upcoming Wimbledon, and that is quite controversial in the sense that the tennis federation doesn't want to do that. So we have private organizers doing it. Maybe we have seen that in the chess world as well, but Wimbledon, of course, is a bit special there. And one of them they are sanctioning is, or sort of who cannot play, is one of the Russian players who actually has openly spoken out against the war and even made some no-war message on cameras during a tournament, but they choose to sanction it anyway. And I think, well, that's also the discussion that is in the chess world and might be stronger soon. That do we have to sanction all Russians, or do we feel capable of handpicking them one by one based on what they have said and such? And, that... If the war continues, which is as unfortunately signs off, then we might end up in a situation like that in chess where we have to make such decisions as well.
Yeah, but it's a very, very different topic. I mean, Lautier is not Russian. He's not living in Russia. I mean, like when things went, let's say, very, very wrong, he just resigned and immediately. So from this bank. So I mean,
also, to be clear, I wasn't speaking about Lautier. I know nothing about that case. I was just talking about...
No, I mean, I'm not into details as well, but from what I'm reading, it's just nonsense. That's
okay. I have no clue about the Lautier thing, but in general, well, it can't just be that, I mean, sure, I resign and then all kind of sanctions is removed. It also has to, if you have helped that company who is, that Softcom bank is under sanctions, seems reasonable at least. And if you're on the board of that, even if you're not active, you have some kind of responsibility with consequences coming from that. That doesn't strike me as unreasonable in that sense. But his specific case, I have absolutely no clue about, so I don't want to talk about that. But it's difficult cases. But, well, if we all want to say that people we know, they are good guys and remove them from sanctions, there will be no one left to sanction. And this is sort of the problem in a way.
Karpov, maybe.
Except kayaking, of course.
Kayaking and Karpov,
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Any other hot chess politics topics on your list, Peter?
Well, not a lot in a way. I mean, well, some talk about, let's say, if Dvorkovich could end up on a sanction list. There is, I forgot it was Austria, Switzerland, who wanted to have also sanctions or removal of Russian head of international federations. And I think Raymond Keane wrote an article recently where he said that it was unlikely Dvorkovich could continue, and was suggesting and praising Nigel Short as a sort of a replacement. But I think there's not much news in this department. I mean, there is ongoing rumors like that, but since last week, nothing really concrete has happened. Of course, they are speaking also of new sanction packages, which could include things on sports in general in the EU and such. But as far as I understand, no news.
It's an interesting topic, like what you mentioned, that you mentioned Dvorkovich after the Lautier case. I mean, that Dvorkovich is not on the sanction list, and Lautier is a bit, I mean, it's really puzzling to me. Well, I mean, he didn't participate in any government. I mean, like, it's clear that Dvorkovich is much closer to the power than Lautier.
All right.
No, nobody is. Peter is not answering to that, but...
No, I can if you want to, but, well, I mean, yeah. Well, it's because Softcombank is actually under sanctions, and then they also sanction their board. And, well, Dvorkovich is not a part of anything under sanction. FIDE is not under sanctions in that way. But, of course, he has numerous ties, and he's being mentioned and such. But, well, he hasn't been in the government since, I forgot which year it was and such. So that would be the argument. But, no, he's also been mentioned on some list I've seen. So it could be for sure. So it's well... I mean, I understand your point of view. I'm just trying to explain why I think it is like it is at the moment.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Let's move to a somewhat lighter topic, a topic that will be very close to Laurent's heart especially. It's a little new category that I like to call Tales from the Training Camps. While we were preparing for the last World Championship match in 2021, we had a few training camps. We've also been in training camps before that. And one particularly memorable camp was the camp in Palanga in Lithuania. Peter lives in Lithuania. He even has a flat in Palanga. And we had a camp there before. And we all liked it. When was it? In 2018 was the camp before, I think?
Yeah.
And we had a lovely time. Sun was shining, good food. We went for walks on the beach, saw a lot of new things there. So we returned in 2021, but this time the circumstances were very different. Everyone was sick. The weather was bad. It was raining. I came slightly under the weather. I still suspect Laurent was the main culprit who came even more sickly. But anyway, we all got sick. Magnus was supposed to show up, but then bailed because everyone was sick, which was very, very understandable. But there were two bright spots. One is what I think Laurent would call the fake French restaurant. It's a place that Peter and I quite like. It's a place called Le Petit Paris. Greetings to Le Petit Paris in Palanga, where you could, just get good food. Get a nice oatmeal for breakfast, get some nice scrambled eggs, get a burger, get a salad. It's cheap. It was nice. But Laurent was not a big fan of the place because, it didn't feel very French, right?
Yeah, they were claiming it was French food, but no, French style. Okay, whatever I will say, you will mock me on that.
Not at all.
Of course.
I'm curious as well.
I'm not sure. This is the right topic for me to comment. You can, guys, enjoy.
Enjoy your conversation.
I have nothing but good intention, because
Of
then,
course, as always.
then to ease your discomfort with that restaurant, one day we got lucky and we found a different place called, I believe, Le Paris, which was run.
Petit Paris. And then we went to another place. It was called Le Grand Paris.
No, I think Le Paris. Or I could be wrong.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe.
Which was run by a very friendly man, and his name, I'm not sure if I can say his name, but we all remember it was Benoit. Am I pronouncing that right?
Ah, yes, that's brilliant, fantastic.
Laurent is really not feeling this segment. But yeah, food was great, and Laurent and Benoit also, I think, built a connection directly, mainly about the fake French restaurant, where there was some talk about, is there another French restaurant in town? And they instantly agree,
that's amazing.
but ce n'est pas français.
Yeah, this is a 10 seconds conversation, which made it like for maybe hours or even
This
days.
has been a source of great joy for me for a year now.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You keep on mentioning it.
No, but for me, it's so obvious that me and Jan, he's German, I'm Danish. And, our culture is if we see a Dane or a German somewhere, we try to hide and not to speak. While if you're sort of, you see someone who's French, you just immediately become friends and talk about how great it is to be French and these kind of stuff.
I didn't want to make this about French. I just wanted to make it about Benoit, who was such a nice guy, running a great restaurant there. And Laurent and him connected about Le Bastille, I think, as well.
So you think all French guys? You think I'm happy when I'm meeting any French guy in the world, right, Peter?
Something like that. No, I just noticed that there is more friendliness there, while, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but somehow when you meet a Dane somewhere, you don't really try to advertise.
So you know
it.
which accusation will come up, Jan, huh? Right?
I've been around you plenty. I've seen this debate a lot.
Okay. So yeah, it's
No. I think it's nice. It's just a very noticeable cultural difference and such. I have to stand up a bit for the fake French restaurant. It's very popular.
It's excellent. That's
I really think so.
Yeah.
But I have to admit that I have cooled off it since, and maybe it's some kind of hidden loyalty I have towards Laurent that I don't go there anymore. No, it used to be my favorite place there. I haven't been there for years actually.
wow.
Yeah.
For years, we were
Also-
literally there in 2021 multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, okay, fair enough. About this thing, that I agree, it was a fantastic training camp in 2018. Somehow repeating places doesn't really work, strangely enough. I don't know why, but it's...
I think it was mainly the weather and the sickness. If we have
Yeah,
some
yeah. I
sunshine
think,
and we're in good health, we would have had a...
I mean, to
Better-
be
better
fair,
time.
the training camps for this World Championship didn't work out
no,
that
but
well. I would
Palanga is
say.
okay. Palanga is okay.
Yeah.
Palanga is a nice place. I go there a lot.
Nice place.
my
is
free
of
time and
course,
such.
another statement, but yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
No, it's good, I think.
We
Value
try
for
to
money,
keep
everything
you
was-
happy. Yeah, this is
Yeah, thanks
part
a lot.
of our job.
Let's bring this topic around. Another nice place. Hot take coming in here. Paris. We had a video series in Paris more or less recently. And I'm not sure, maybe it's because, German, French stuff, or because people don't go there that often, but often there is this prejudice, I have to say, that Paris, it's loud, there's too much stuff happening, I don't know, it's not as nice as advertised. Peter even brought up Paris syndrome earlier in our chat, but I have to say, we had a great time in Paris, and it's a fantastic city. I liked it so much, how alive it is. On every corner there's stuff happening, great food, it was fun to take walks. So I'm genuinely, no irony whatsoever here, big fan of Paris, and I'd love to visit it again soon.
But you had a very nice guide as well. I have to praise myself, which showing some good restaurants, some nice walks.
I'm trying to be as nice as possible to Laurent, and he has to take more credit for, Paris is great, but I'm also great.
Yeah, thank you.
But it's a good point that when me and Jan went out eating on our own, we ended up in some quite not
That
impressive
was not
places.
great, that's true.
While Laurent, he sort of, Is it the Bastille you live nearby? Or
I live in between Republic. I mean, closer to Republic than Bastille.
Yeah. No, I mean, Laurent is the guy to come for some good food recommendations there, one has to admit. That was impressive and such. So, no, Paris was a good filming session, at least in terms of having fun, if it was worth...
it was nice. I enjoyed welcoming you, both of you. I mean, it was nice, even if Peter complained about my booking skills. Of course, the very first day, the first 10 minutes he entered in the flat I booked. It was very
small.
It was small, and I don't know what else.
My room got flooded by water, but leaving such details aside, it was a nice place. But yeah, well, I noticed one thing that a filming feels a bit like a training camp. That it's sort of, light. In many ways and social. I mean, I have tried Vichy training camps. They were also great and social, but incredibly tough. That I haven't really experienced so much in Team Maximus as we go about, if this is tales about training camps.
Do you say Team Maximus? Is that the new name?
No, I really try to seem Team Magnus and such.
Just check.
Well, Gusti maybe hasn't trained with other teams, but you are for the Dutch team and such, and you have been in Team Kramnik, which I'm sure is a completely different thing.
Yeah, no, in Team Kramnik, it was not really... it's more fun in Team Magnus, I prefer.
It's an understatement.
Yeah,
right?
No, of course, No, because, some
you guys make it sound like we're partying it up there in Palanga.
No,
it's
but...
four nerds sitting in a room for 14 hours a day clicking on chess moves on their laptop.
Of course.
It's not exactly like it's just fun and games.
I mean, like with Kramnik, I noticed very quickly that during the match, he likes his seconds not sleeping during the night because he feels that everything was done and we did our maximum and so on. So when he wakes up, if you didn't sleep, he feels better, which in the short run might help, but in the long run, I think it's a disaster because after 4 or 5 games, you are already completely exhausted, and you want basically all this to be over. While of course with Magnus, we have much more freedom, even of course if we are working in Palanga. In Thailand. In Thailand, we are walking a lot in Thailand. Yeah.
We'll get to tales from Thailand on another episode of this podcast. We're not mentally ready for it yet. Shall we get to the last thing on our list? A category that I'm not a big fan of because I'm too chicken. It's called Chicken of the Week. How does this work, Laurent? This sounds like something close to your heart.
So Chicken of the Week, we just nominate one chicken, one nomination each. And we explain maybe why. So there's some forever member of the Chicken Chess Club from the world best player. So we just name one, I guess, and each of us, Peter, what's your favorite chicken? With, according to you, in the top, the chess world.
You mean in general or the last week?
Ideally connected to recent events. No, but go wherever you want. It's your category.
Yeah. Well, it's unreasonable, but this is the program of being unreasonable. So I will actually say Bashar Koyatli, if that's okay.
He's not a player.
I know it's okay, but Laurent.
It's okay, but
who is that for our listeners, and what has he done?
He's a French grandmaster, right, and former head of the French Chess Federation, and now he's the actual vice president of FIDE and such. But I was invited to a debate about the future of FIDE, and Koyatli was very happy to be part of it, but just on one condition, that it wasn't against me, and that I thought was a bit chicken. He was offering to debate against my wife instead, but she politely declined. But that I thought was a bit chickenish. So, I managed to make this one political as well, but you can try and talk about chess if you prefer.
That's great.
Laurent.
I will nominate Anish, because I will nominate Anish every week. So that would be...
It's going to be a fun category.
Very stable. Okay, he's playing right now. I like to nominate him. Yeah, just
Well,
fun.
can you motivate it just a bit?
Yeah, I mean, his games against Magnus yesterday. I mean, especially this first game. I mean, every decision is just trying to keep it safe and well, always the same. Even in some rapid, where I mean, it's not such an important tournament for guys. It's rapid event, so of course you care about the result, but it doesn't matter so much. So it's time to experiment, I think, different things. And while in the first match against Erik Hansen, he was just playing his usual repertoire, Spanish and so on. I think it's time, maybe not to the extent to go 1F3, but I think it would be a good time for him to experiment just different things, trying to play maybe a bit sharper. But he's always playing the same style, so always caring so much about the final result, which I think is the wrong attitude.
All right.
A bit harsh.
As a giant chess chicken myself, also, this podcast is called the Chicken Chess Club. For a reason, I don't really feel comfortable for telling people it's wrong the way they play when it made their careers and made them world-class players. So I'll chicken out this week at the very least from nominating a chess player. Sorry that I have to take this back to being serious, but yeah, the topic that's still on my mind non-stop, of course, is the war in Ukraine and the chickenness of the German government, and Chancellor Scholz's statements are very, very tough to stomach. At the very least, the communication from the sideline, all these blank statements about, we shouldn't do anything alone, we need to find a united solution with whoever, while UK, US and whoever else is contributing much more, or at least contributing a lot more clearly, while in Germany we're debating boo-hoo, they didn't want Steinmeier there, or like we're losing ourselves in small random debates about the Ukrainian ambassador instead of doing everything we can, is very, very tough for me as a German, or with my limited knowledge, to witness. So I'll use that one, but I promise I'll use a drawish chess player next time around.
Well, a bit of help is on the way there. My wife is a Lithuanian politician, but she's invited to the Bundestag tomorrow to talk about this subject. And I cannot speak on her behalf, but any Lithuanian politician is very, firm and thorough on this. So I'm pretty sure the message would be that Germany has a lot of responsibility in sort of being helpful for Ukraine in this conflict, and it's time to step up and such. So, well, I don't know if that will make a difference, but at least the message will get there and such. So, well, if we can be helpful there, then that's good.
Yeah, the message is being brought plenty, and hopefully,
I understand.
Hopefully, it will help. All right, sorry to end on this heavy note, but unless you guys have any pressing last things to say, I believe that was episode 2 of the Chicken Chess Club. Great stuff, guys. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So which button is it? Right, yeah?
It's the stop button.